Yeah, what's up, polyglots? So today we're going to talk about active and passive vocabulary. So passive vocabulary are those are the words that you have in mind, the words that you know, but you cannot use these words when you are speaking. So it means they are stored in the long-term memory, but you cannot use them when you are speaking. Okay, so these words you can recognize them when someone is speaking to you, or when someone or when you are reading. Sorry, when you are reading, that's when you can recognize that, okay, I understand this word, I know this word, I know this word. But when you are speaking, you cannot use these words. Okay, for example, I can give an example of the word demolish. Demolish is to destroy. For me, when I'm speaking, it means in my active vocabulary I have got the word destroy. Then the word demolish, I have it in my passive vocabulary. But for me to activate this word from passive to active, it means I have to spend more time with those words. If I see them every time, then at some point I'll end up reproducing those words when I'm speaking. It means in the speeches, I'll end up using those words. Okay, so it is very important to have a lot of passive vocabulary than active. Actually, this is something that is general. Like in general, you have more passive vocabulary than the active vocabulary that you have. I think there's no way you can have more active vocabulary than passive vocabulary. Okay, so it is important. That's why we always talk about reading and listening, because if you try to cram something, that thing is not going to the long-term memory, to the subconscious mind. It's going to the conscious mind, which is the short-term memory. So in the end, you just forget the words. So it is very important for you to learn the words in a natural way, not by trying to memorize the word every time, because you're gonna know the word maybe for a short period of time, then later on you forget the word. Okay, so why is it important? As I've already mentioned, it is very important to have more passive vocabulary, because when someone is talking to you, you must be able to understand when that person is talking to you. Even if you are not able to respond, you can use gestures to talk to the person. You can use sign language. I don't know, but there are many ways to communicate to a person. So, but now if you are not able to understand what the person is talking about, it will be a challenge. Okay, so it is important to have a more passive vocabulary, and then with time you will, through reading, through practicing, you'll be able to activate that vocabulary. So now it will move from passive to active. Okay, for example, for kids, they have almost 1.5 years of accumulating, okay, passive vocabulary. Okay, then later on they'll start reproducing. So that's what Stephen Krashen's talked about when he mentioned language acquisition. Okay, he's talking about getting more input. Just get input, and then the output will come later. Okay, so now when you are speaking, that's the output that is coming. Okay, so now it is very important now for you to have more passive vocabulary. Okay, then the active vocabulary will come from that passive vocabulary that you have. So it's just a matter of you practicing, you reading, listening a lot. Okay, like now I'm learning Portuguese. Okay, I'm learning Portuguese. I'm just trying to acquire a Portuguese language. Now I'm able to understand. I listen like almost like 2 hours a day just listening. So I use my dead time, what they call temps mort en français, temps mort. So now when I'm preparing my cup of tea, I'm listening to something. Okay, when I'm eating, I'm listening to something. So I'm just using that time to accumulate, to acquire more vocab that is going to be stored in the passive vocabulary. Okay, and then later on to be activated into active vocabulary. Okay, so passive vocabulary is the key to understanding. You must be able to understand when people are speaking. Okay, right, so that's what all that I wanted to talk about today. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for your comments and for your support. Okay, peace.